My first musical instrument was the alto saxophone at 12, and I started playing. My school didn't have a music program, but I started playing in other schools' bands because I could, and I wanted to play music. And I knew that at 12. I knew what I wanted to do. Well, I like to say that I worked my way down to the baritone. I started on alto. Later on in college, I went to Berkeley, and I had a chance to buy a tenor, and I thought, well, I should try the tenor and, play that. And I really loved it. And then I did actually get a soprano, and then I was in rock bands for a bunch of years. And when I moved to New York in 1985, I had a chance to try somebody's baritone. And I went and I blew one note on it, and life was never the same. I really knew right away that this was my voice.
What do you think it was about?
I don't know if I could really say what it's about, but it felt like an epiphany moment. It felt like this is my voice. It just felt like this is where I live. And I still play the other instruments a little bit, but I am primarily a baritone player without a doubt. Well, at 12, I guess, I was in some other school bands, and I played in some local, theater groups or whatever. I didn't really know about jazz education until I found out about Berkeley, and I ended up going to Berkeley right out of high school. And that's where a certain kind of jazz education took place. But actually, all those years before of going to a lot of concerts, my father was very supportive of my interest in jazz. And he came home with tickets to concerts all the time in New York City, because we lived in Yonkers. So I saw Duke Ellington and Count Basie sit at concert grand pianos opposite each other and played tunes at a Timex All-Star Swing Festival in like 1972 or something. And that whole experience, that whole concert, I remember what I was wearing. That was such a psychedelically life-changing time for me, of just discovering this music and not really knowing, like I couldn't tell you what tunes they were playing, but I was captivated. I just loved this music right away. My first paying gig was at the White Plains Bowling Alley with the Associates Jazz Rock Experience. Yeah, that was really good. Big bread. Probably $12, $15.
What was the song list? The set?
Well, we were in fact kind of a big band, and so we did a bunch of Chicago. We did a Blood, Sweat and Tears, Chicago, the horn bands, the bands that were rock bands that had a lot of horns in them. But we also I can remember we did Some Kind of Wonderful. We had a pretty good R&B flavor in there too. The band leader was George Buffet from Elmsford, and he had pretty funky taste. So we did a lot of real funk. We did a lot of real funk music. Yeah. I had a lot of rock albums before I had jazz albums. Well, one of my early jazz albums that was really important to me was Johnny Hartman and John Coltrane, which I understand a lot of people bring that one up when they're talking about their influences, early influence. But I had kind of blue. I had a cousin who was older, who was getting rid of I think he had gotten completely into classical music, so he was getting rid of his jazz albums. And he gave me Kind of Blue, Anatomy of a Murder, that Duke Ellington had done the music for a movie. Anatomy of a Murder, and Jerry Mulligan, I Want to Live. Yeah, those were some of my early ones. There were others, but I would really have to work on remembering them. Just like that. Okay.